What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Clearly Distorted podcast, where we discuss our clearly thought out ideas shared through our distorted lenses. We're going to cover trending topics ranging from social issues, sports, politics, news, and so much more. I am Damian, aka the Devil's Advocate. He is Julian, aka the Morning and Evening Star, and we are down. Down one this week, missing Patricia as her and her family are wrapping up Ramadan. So it's a special time for them, so she won't be available. But when it's over, she'll be back.
Dang. So,
oh god, here we go.
How much time do you think it takes for us to go through this every week?
We don't need to go through it every week.
We don't, because all you have to do is say the Morning and Evening Star, aka Mr. Enigmatic.
Okay, maybe next week.
Maybe. Our fingers crossed. We almost got this perfect.
So it's episode 26.
26.
This week we're gonna run through NBA playoffs are starting today as we're recording. So we're gonna go through our brackets, see how they match up, to yours out there. We're gonna talk about the Tennessee Three, how our U.S. Senate is anti-democratic, and Super Mario Brothers movie is just too woke for conservatives.
Super Mario woke is what they should call it, right?
Right. Before we get into all of that, how you doing, my guy?
Good, bro. Actually, not good. I haven't been sleeping well. I got these damn bags under my eyes, but I've been sleeping well. I just don't wake up feeling right. I haven't been, too good, but I'm here, man. I'm ready to go. Work has been pretty busy. I think that's part of it. It's just work and, but other than that, man, I'm good. How about you?
Same here, man. Work has been kicking my ass. It's getting hot out there. The weather is. We got our AC fixed in the truck, so that definitely helped. We were without AC for like 2 weeks.
Ooh, Florida, no AC.
It was rough.
Rough. That's rough. I like the windows rolled down. I'm good with that, but sometimes
until you come to a red light.
Right, and sometimes like in the middle of the afternoon after you've done some stuff, you want to kind of
usually you're out 15-20 minutes in the sun and you're looking forward to that next ride in the AC to cool off before the next stop.
For sure.
But there was no break for 2 weeks straight. So
I know.
We got that up and running this week, and it actually it cooled off a little bit this week. The end of the week got real hot again, but other than that, man, same old same. We here.
Let's get this show rolling then.
Let's get to it.
Patricia, we miss you. See
you
man. Soon. She won't be with us next week either.
Right.
Yeah, so it's gonna be 2 weeks, and then at I think episode 30 is where we'll cap the season. So we're on 26 now.
Right.
So but we'll be back. We'll be back soon. More to come on that later, but for sure.
NBA playoffs kicking off today.
Yep. I'm so excited.
Man,
I think this is going to be some of the most compelling matchups that we've seen in a while, right?
Yeah.
Because you remember, we've had a couple of years where some of the major stars were out or injured or something. And, Paul George is not playing. And, there's a few here and there. But for the most part, man, this is going to be crazy good.
We got matchups, too.
We got the Knicks back in the playoffs. We got the Sacramento Kings after the C-Web days. Like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. How we were talking about last week with the matchups in the West. Golden State did fall to 6, which is going to make the West. I think that changed a lot. I think the way that bracket is going to roll out on the West Coast.
They were pushing for the 5th seed. They wanted Phoenix in that first round because they went in against Portland and they had to win that game to get the 5th seed. but they had to depend on the Clippers losing. So the Clippers ended up winning as well. So, um, but I think also it seemed like Phoenix purposely didn't want Golden State because they dropped that last game. I think Kevin Durant sat out. They sat their players. So I think they figured that, the easier matchup would probably be better for the first round, which would be the Clippers without a Paul George. But either way, either way, they're probably going to meet up in the playoffs, but more on that later.
Yeah, the way I didn't want, like, to me, the heavy hitters would have all been in one part of the bracket, and it would have just.
You know what it
I
is
like
too.
like it the way it is now.
So do I. And people were saying they wanted Phoenix and Golden State in the first round, and I don't want that. I want to see both of them at least get to the second round, right? Because one of them are going to go. But again, let's get to it then. I'm ready.
Before, because you just made me think about it when you were talking about Phoenix sitting some players. Did you see Dallas got fined?
Yes, what, 750,000?
750,000.
Yeah, can't do what they did.
They did it so bad though.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
they
so obvious.
literally had one of the guys documented as resting.
Yeah, yeah, and Luca in protest played like a couple of minutes. He didn't play the full game or whatever. But if you have a chance to make it in the playoffs, like stop that. Like just stop. Like don't
Yeah,
do
right. If
that.
they
But
won that game, they would have been in, right?
no, no, but they would have had to finish off the rest of the season, on a win. But it was doable. I think they had like 2 games left or whatever. So
I thought it was. I thought it
they
was
had a
that one.
shot.
Okay.
They had a shot, but I think they would have had to win the last two, and I think OKC had to like lose or whatever. I can't remember, but yeah. So Dame already has his complete
Yeah.
as we speak. So I did mine too, but I didn't sign in. I don't have it saved. So we figured for the purpose of this, we'll go through it together. So we're gonna start just with the first round. We're just gonna go in order. So first round in the West, right here, we have Denver versus Minnesota. Dame, who do you got winning and in how many games?
I got Denver taking Minnesota, but I think this one's gonna go 7.
Wow. Okay.
The way they played last night,
Mm-hmm.
if they can carry that energy over into the first round, um, Cat and Gobert, it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, you see, I agree with you on that. I think this is going to be a way harder matchup for Denver than a lot of people think because Jokic does have to deal with two big guys essentially. And he's incredible, and he's going to be really difficult to get a handle on because really his greatness isn't just scoring, it's also just his passing, right? So it's really hard for teams to double team him because he may be the best passer in the league, let alone best passing center. So, but Cat is the best shooting big man in the league. So does that put Jokic outside the paint more, or is he going to stay in there with Gobert? What's that matchup going to look like? It's going to be pretty interesting. So I would agree that Denver, I think, will pull it out. I don't think it's going to be 7. I think it'll be 6. So I'm going to put mine here, and that'll be in 6. So we mostly agree on that.
And it was just watching the scheme. Like, Cat started off just heavy in the paint, right? And then probably midway through the third quarter, he started backing it out. And then when he did that, they kept dumping it to Rudy. And he was, I think most of his points came from the foul line. They couldn't do anything but hack him. They couldn't fuck with him.
Yeah, Rudy isn't going to be, I think, a factor on too much on the scoring end, but I do think defensively, him and Cat in the paint, I think that's going to cause some problems for Joker. But I think he'll eventually figure it out, and I think Jamal Murray is going to be the factor in that. So I'm super excited about that one. That's going to be a fantastic game, series.
When I initially did my bracket, I had this one over in 5. After last night's game, I changed it.
All right. Well, I would agree it's going to be competitive. So next one, we got Phoenix versus the Clippers. Now, let me hear what you got to say about that. I definitely got my own thoughts on this one, but let me hear what you got.
Well, you just reminded me of something. I forgot PG was out.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah. With PG, I had this going 7. I'm gonna say Phoenix in 5.
Okay. So Paul George might end up coming back either at the end of the series or the beginning of the next one if they make it out.
Yeah.
He even if he came back this series, I don't know if he'll be a factor.
He might be
That
able
that
to stretch it one game.
yeah, that knee injury didn't look too good from what I recall. So I struggle with this one because I feel like the Clippers, even without Paul George, and I know I'm way the minority on this. I feel like they have a shot at beating Phoenix. So I know a lot of people, well, Phoenix, they're undefeated with KD and yeah, but that's only like 8 or 9 games or whatever it is. Like that's such of a small sample size. And I don't and I don't really feel like it's been intense. I don't think Phoenix, if you take a look at Phoenix, right, they don't have that much experience together with KD. In the playoffs, they have zero. They haven't really been able to do that too much during the regular
I
season.
think
So
with KD, that doesn't even matter.
everyone says that, but you can't compare what he did to Golden State just yet. I won't. I also think Kevin Durant is a little bit more injury prone now. I think Chris Paul is definitely injury prone.
Yeah.
Um, he's older. He's nowhere near what he used to be. He's still a great player, but I think with those factors, I think Kawhi Leonard is still a premier player in this league,
Who is
and
also
I
injury prone.
who is also injury prone. He's more I just want to sit on my ass prone, in my opinion. But
I mean, injuries
uh,
are a part of it, obviously, but going into it, all of these guys are healthy. So that's the kind of the mindset I'm looking at.
so I think this is going to be a 50-50 outcome.
Wow.
I really think it's going to be that. But
So
I'm
you
going to
got it
give the
going.
edge. I'm going to give the edge to Phoenix, and I'm going to say Phoenix in 7. But I would not be surprised if the Clippers pulled it out.
Wow.
So far we're in agreement, just not any amount of games. But let's see if we have any differences of opinion. Here we got next Sacramento and Golden State. What do
Yeah.
you got, Dame?
Golden State in 7.
Wow, you got to go in 7. Okay, and what's the reason for that?
A little bit of respect for Sacramento. I think Golden State's experience, their playoff experience, is gonna give them the edge. They got 2 injured players are recently coming back, so they'll work in the mix, and it'll probably be perfect timing. But I just respect Sacramento with the coach over there. He knows, he
Mike
knows some of
Brown.
their schemes, and yeah, I think it can go the distance, but I think Golden State will pull it off.
Okay, well, I'm also thinking Golden State is going to win, but out of respect for the current reigning champions, defending champions, out of the respect for them, I'm going to say Golden State in 5.
5.
I think in 5. I think it'll be a gentleman's sweep. I think it'll be pretty decisive. I think Sacramento's the number 1 offensive team in the league, but they're not a good defensive team. Golden State hasn't played the greatest defense so far this season. They've shown Golden State Warrior type defense in spurts, especially towards the end of the season. Now they add Wiggins to that, arguably the best defending two-way player in the league. And Gary Payton, I think he changes that dynamic totally for Golden State. And since he's been back, they've been winning. Steph Curry has been secretly and quietly been kind of resting and a little bit quiet. And, he's had some monster games in the last, couple of weeks. So I think it's going to be easily Golden State over Sacramento.
Interesting.
So next, I think this might be one of the top favorite matchups to see.
Yeah.
The Memphis Grizzlies
Just well,
versus the Los Angeles Lakers. I am really hyped for this.
not
I've
so
never thought
much
I'd say that.
not so much for the game, right? Just for all the other.
The drama.
Yeah.
The drama is thick on this one. I mean, Dylan Brooks already is talking about, knocking LeBron off the playoffs. And I'm going to be honest, I can't really stand what Minnesota has turned into. I mean, Memphis Grizzlies has turned into, right? And I don't like a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing. I'll
I
just say
agree.
that, right?
I agree. But on the court, there's something to be reckoned with.
And then with the Lakers, I don't want to see them win. I think I just don't want to see them win. But it's this is a struggle for me as far as who I'm rooting for. I just want to see drama and I want to see good basketball. So,
Right.
what do you think? Who you think is coming out of this, and how many games?
Memphis in 7.
Memphis in 7. Damn, this is fucking unbelievable. You and I agree again.
Holy
I
shit.
have I have Memphis in 7. I think I think the Lakers, to give LeBron and AD respect, I think they're gonna come out and they're really gonna go for it. They got the experience or whatever, but I think Memphis, they're one of the top teams in the league for a reason. And I just don't think they're gonna just stop being that team because the
Right.
Lakers kind of improved in the second half. So I think John Morant has a lot to prove, and I think AD and LeBron, after watching them against the Timberwolves and the way they struggled, and they got more lucky than anything in that
Yeah.
playing tournament. I do think that I think that Memphis is going to pull it out. So that's who I got. And now let's go to
Man.
the East Coast. You ready for the East Coast? This is, I know, the we're starting to approach what you really want to talk about. So let's start off with Milwaukee versus the Miami Heat. What do you got
It's over in 5.
for
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee? All right. Any particular comments and reasons as to why? I think it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, just Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. So I'm going with Milwaukee as well. Miami Heat. I thought this was going to be it for them. I'm actually a little surprised that they beat Chicago in the play-in.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
after losing that first game, but good for them. They're in. Um, it would have been weird not having Miami in the playoffs. I don't know why. I feel like they should just be automatic in the East. Really, I feel like, with the team that they have, they should be fifth, sixth seed at least. But they had their struggles this year, but I think Milwaukee will take it in a sweep.
Going for.
I'm going for.
Hmm.
So next, why don't we just skip this one? We'll save this one for last, right? Next, we got Cleveland and New York.
Yeah.
What you got?
I got the Knicks in 7, man.
You got the Knicks in 7.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a New York fan. You die hard.
Yes.
Why? Why do you believe this?
This has nothing to do with fandom.
Okay.
Maybe it does because I am a fan. I have watched the most of them this year, and the way they're playing together as a team, I just don't think in a series Cleveland can fuck with that. And just watching how they played with their leading scorer out for the last 2 weeks of the season, the bench has picked it up. You got Obi Toppin coming off the bench, scoring 25 points a game. He was playing 11 minutes a game, and now he's starting and going crazy. So that just tells you the kind of talent we have off the bench that hadn't really been explored until this injury. Quickly, who is up for sixth man of the year, has been going crazy. It just, I don't think we can go deep in our bench and still get double digits from anybody. We got great defense, and I just think it's gonna be a long day for Cleveland. Cleveland's great. I'm not sleeping on them. But I think we can edge them out.
All right. That is really interesting. So I have Cleveland winning this. I think for me, Donovan Mitchell is on the cusp of being that superstar, that guy. I think he's shown flashes of it through his career. And he reminds me a lot of like a Dwayne Wade in the sense of his intensity and just the way, he can kind of, do a lot of different things on the court. So I'm giving it to Cleveland, and I think they're going to do it in 6. I can't wait to see the matchup.
I think that's the popular opinion.
I can't wait to see him and Brunson go at each other. You know, if Brunson can kind of wash what Donovan Mitchell does,
Well,
Knicks might have a good shot.
they played. Um, I believe it was the first game that Julius Randle missed. They played against Cleveland, and Mitchell Robinson, um,
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell had like 40 points, and Brunson had like 49, and
Yeah.
they beat Cleveland by like 15 or somewhere around there.
Hmm.
So
Well, playoffs is a different story, but let's see what happens. That's our first disagreement there. So you got Knicks coming out against the Bucks. So we're gonna have to. This is gonna be a little tricky here. So okay, so let's get to the next one: Philly versus Brooklyn.
yeah, Philly in 5.
Philly in 5. I actually think Philly in 5. That'll be a gentleman's sweep. I think Brooklyn might be able to pull out one game, so I
Yeah,
would agree with you on that. Nothing really to talk about there. Boston and Atlanta. What do you think?
I got Boston in 6.
I got Boston in a sweep.
Sweeping?
They're gonna sweep them.
Hmm.
I think they're gonna sweep. All right. So now let's get to the second round. So Denver versus Phoenix. We both agree.
Yes.
Who's coming out of this?
I got Phoenix in 7.
You got Phoenix in 7.
Yeah.
I got Denver in 7. All
That'll,
right.
that'll be interesting. That is.
Golden State versus the Grizzlies.
Golden State versus the Grizzlies. I got GSW in 7.
I got Golden State in 6. Milwaukee versus Cleveland, second round.
Oh, I have Milwaukee versus Knicks.
So what do you think?
I have Milwaukee in 5 versus the Knicks. And it'll probably 5, maybe 6 against Cleveland. Probably be the same.
Yeah, so I got Milwaukee beating Cleveland in 5 as well. So I think that'll be pretty easy for them. So now we got Philly versus Boston, and we both agreed on this one as well. So what do you have here?
I think we might split part ways here.
Okay. Who you got?
I think it's over for Boston, man. I think it ends here. I think we never see this Boston team again.
Wow. So what you got Philly in what, and how many games?
Philly in 7.
Philly in 7.
Philly in 7, and next year you will see a different Boston Celtics lineup.
I'm gonna agree. I got Philly in 7. I disagree. I don't think they're breaking up the team. I think maybe Jaylen Brown gets traded,
But then the team's broken up.
but I think they trade him for, or they sign and trade, whatever. I don't know if his contract is
Yeah, I
up,
think
but
he's got one more year on the contract. So
yeah. But if they do well, even if it's in the second round, I don't see why would they break up that whole thing. Try to add another piece to try to get you over the hump.
They need to get rid of Smart, and there's no reason why Brogdon is coming off the bench. He's a starter. He's a starting point guard. But just because Smart plays, such great defense, which hasn't been as great as it was last year, I think that's why they're starting Smart. Or just because of the energy, just because he's been there and like he's Boston. I think in terms of talent wise, Brogdon is superior.
My thinking with Philly and advancing is it really depends on James Harden. James Harden this year led the league in assists.
Yes.
He's been a wonderful piece for Joel Embiid. And I think every once in a while James Harden has to be that Houston Rocket James Harden and shoot that ball and
in the playoffs.
And give them a 30 piece here and there.
Yeah. I don't think he needs to put up 30.
I said here and there, just close, or if not right around 30, because there are going to be some games where Joel Embiid is going to be tired because he gasses out a little bit towards, in the playoffs.
They're going to play to it. They're going to play to him. They're going to swarm him. They're going to double him.
Right. So that's why I think James Harden needs to keep the defenses a little bit honest and him and Maxey. So if they're able to do that, Philly could be the sleeper, team for this whole shit. So we'll see.
Yeah, I
So
think this
now
I think this will be also a make or break for Harden too, because he does not play well in the playoffs. And this year, he's used to being relied on as the scorer, which he doesn't need to be this year, but he needs to be able to balance being the facilitator versus being the scorer, because he's going to have to do both, and he's going to need to
James
know
Harden
when.
has James Harden has that reputation, but he's had some pretty dope ass games in the playoffs. I think what happens is when he was in Houston, they relied on him so much that and I say this anytime I see a team like, let's say, like with Luka Doncic now, right? Where the usage rate for your superstar is so high, that's not sustainable in the playoffs. It's after you do your 82 games or whatever in a season and you're banged up, you go into the playoffs, the referees kind of swallow the whistle, it's a little bit more physical, and you just can't win a championship where a team is just relying on one guy. And that was the problem with Houston, right? So I'm not sure if I buy into that narrative. I think James Harden, I think he's going to be really good. So, but we're going to see. So we're in the conference finals now. So let's look. We got Denver versus Golden State. Who do you think is winning this? Because we
Denver
both agree on
versus
this.
Golden State. Well, I have Phoenix versus Golden State.
You have Phoenix. That's right. So who do you have, Phoenix or Golden State?
You know what? I didn't select it and choose. I think I got stuck here.
Well, tell me what you think now.
And that series would be like finals worthy. Um, Whatever it is, it's going 7.
So it's a toss up for you.
Yeah,
If you had to pick one, who you going with?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Okay, so I have Golden State beating Denver, so I'll just click on that here. I have them beating them in 6 as well. If it was Golden State versus Phoenix, let me give just my quick thoughts on that on your bracket. I am not that sold on Phoenix. I think on paper they could be incredible, but they don't really have the best bench. And I think Golden State, think about it. Golden State has the best starting lineup in all of basketball. Statistically speaking, they have the best when it's Clay, Wiggins, Looney, Draymond, and Steph. By far the best. It's not even close. Now you look at their bench. You got Wiggins, you got Peyton, you got DiVincenzo, who's been playing amazing basketball. He's a good pick for them. I don't know how much you've been paying attention to that, but he's been really good. They have a good, solid bench. Now they're better defensively than Phoenix is, arguably. Not maybe this season. I think the hardest matchup for them is going to be Ayton, but if you really think about it, Kevon Looney, he's led the league in offensive rebounds, and he's played all 82 games, and he doesn't even look tired. So I think that that's going to be somewhat of a wash, and I think Golden State has the advantage on every other aspect. So, yeah, I think people are looking at KD and Devin Booker as, okay, what's Golden State going to do to stop them? Steph Curry and KD are going to cancel each other out. And I think between Clay and Wiggins, they'll definitely outball Devin Booker. So that's my opinion. So I think either way, whether it's Phoenix or Denver, I think Golden State pulls it out.
All right. I don't. I mean, that's hard to make an argument against what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be analytical about it, but I do favor Golden State for sure, as everyone knows. I mean,
we know that.
I got my Curry shirt on, so I definitely favor Golden State. Milwaukee versus Philly.
Yeah.
This matchup, this is also finals worthy, right? This could be like this is a headliner match, right? Joel Embiid versus Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I would love to see this in the Eastern Finals. What do you think is going to happen here?
I got Milwaukee in 7.
You got Milwaukee in 7.
Yeah.
This is a toss up for me. This is a struggle for me, this one. Uh my second favorite player in the league is Giannis. But
That team is
I
that's
am rooting so hard for Joel Embiid and James Harden. And I have to take that bias out. Um, I
I'm a
really
big
want to I really want to see the two of them win something together.
I don't know. You know how I feel about Harden. I like Embiid. I'm a bigger fan of
Giannis.
Doc.
Oh, Doc Rivers. Okay, so yeah. And that's another one. Doc Rivers coming there
Because
with Embiid. They're
well,
gonna change something.
just him as a coach. Like he's had a lot of great teams, but not successful in the playoffs. So I would like to see him, at least get to the conference finals.
Well, if they lose, maybe even if they lose in the first round and they get upset, I think Doc Rivers will have a long career and maybe radio.
Broadcasting.
I was going to say a radio DJ for a
Oh,
jazz
man.
station.
Right.
The smooth sounds of Doc Rivers, right?
Yeah.
Um, all joking aside, I'm gonna go with my brain, and I'm gonna go with Milwaukee. I think X factor for Milwaukee is Brook Lopez. Uh, I think defensively, he's gonna be a real problem. If if Embiid can get him and Giannis in the foul trouble early, it might be something different. If James Harden explodes, it might be something different. But I do think that that's going to be too much for Embiid to deal with,
I mean,
the
even
two of them.
still, you got Drew Holiday, you got Middleton, you got Crowder.
Off the
Like,
bench. You got they definitely. So I'm actually going to go with Milwaukee in 7. Which my finals is Milwaukee versus Golden State. Your finals is Milwaukee versus Phoenix. So we'll start with what you think. Milwaukee or Phoenix? You didn't come out.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
All right. So in Milwaukee, in how many games?
6.
6. In this matchup, I got Golden State repeating as champions, and I got this going a full 7.
I'd like to see that actually. I would
Yeah.
not be mad at that at all.
So
Draymond Green's been wearing these shirts. Don't let me win another fucking championship. Oh man, I can't imagine the level of shit he'd be talking if they win again.
It was crazy last year how much him and Clay were talking.
Like to hear Clay talking like, you don't expect that from Clay. Clay talks some shit.
You know what it is? That was 2.5 years of built up.
That's
just
true.
Sitting on the bench, like
all the doubt.
Right. Oh, he'll never be the same. He's better this year than he's been ever. This is probably his best season. So,
I haven't seen that much of them this year. I've been heavy on the Knicks this year.
Yeah,
I can't help myself.
No, I've been watching them. It's been hard to watch them, but the last 10 games, I think I've seen all of them because on League Pass. So, definitely been catching them. But yeah, this playoffs is going to be good. I think every series, even your bracket, my bracket, they're going to be intriguing. So, really excited for it.
Good shit. So the Tennessee 3.
Yeah.
Justin Jones becomes the first Tennessee House representative to be expelled for breaking decorum. Have you seen the videos and all of this shit going on?
Yes.
It's Tennessee politics it's pretty fucking scary, bro. They're stuck in a different time.
Yeah, they're doing some Jim Crow type shit for real. Yeah.
It's like, man, what the fuck is going on there? Um, yeah, so on April 6th, he led a chant for gun reform on the floor of the House chamber, following the deadly school shooting. And well, Republicans didn't like that shit. Told them get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck out of here. Man. And then so there was three of them, right? The Tennessee three. So then you got Justin Pearson of Memphis, um, was also expelled for his role in the protest. Well, they tried to, but they were one vote short of expelling him. And he represented Knoxville. And then you have who was the third one? It was a woman who damn, what was her name? It was a woman who was just standing next to them who uh didn't she managed to escape being booted. The one thing they didn't count for was that Nashville, who is the area Justin Jones represents, that happens to be pretty progressive leaning, and the council just voted him right back in as a because when they lose a member, then the council is responsible for filling it with an interim. So he's filling his own seat as interim, and then when the term is up, he'll be able to run again. So they just put him right back in the seat.
I would say that, this is sort of a victory, but it really isn't because I mean, the fact that they did it anyway, like initially, I think that this is just, it shows where the country is at. It shows that the white power establishment that we have in this country, they don't want to let it go. And it's not like they're giving it up. It's just they don't want to see anyone else with power. The idea Tennessee and a lot of these right wing leaning states, you can't say anything about gun reform, no matter how many people die. It's like these things should be something that we should be able to talk about without it being so partisan.
I think it's still a victory though, because I think they shot themselves in the foot. I don't for one second think that when they were voting to expel these people, did they think that this was going to become a national story, right? They just running shit how they run shit in their little local towns. But I I think because Justin Jones was an activist before he was in government, that he just kicked into that gear
Yeah, that's his default.
Right.
And believe it or not, I actually like when our politicians are activists. Right? They're representing the people,
Right.
and what got them there is a lot of times is their activism to begin with. So, how everyone knows here how I feel about gun reform, and I'm very hard left on that subject, but I think most people are more common sense center type mentality on it, and yeah, I don't know why we just can't have those discussions.
They were not trying to hear it, and to hear them even when they were discussing it on the floor, like the guy was talking to him like you boy, like
Mhm. Right,
like
I saw that.
yeah, like you, because you don't know how to act is why your ass is where you're at right now, boy. Like that's how they were talking to him.
Mhm.
It was wild just to
Yeah,
think this is 2023. Like it's
but
crazy.
I love science, right? And I think that should be an experiment or something, because in some states in this country, it is not 2023.
Right.
I think there's like some kind of issue with the time space, and something's wrong in some parts of this country.
Something's wrong in some parts of this country is for sure.
Yeah.
But so they boot him out on the 6th, right, which was the Thursday, and then following Monday, just this past Monday, he comes marching his ass right back in there with hundreds of people
Yeah.
alongside him. So yeah, it was great. My father thinks this could be like his coming out moment, kind of like Obama.
That would be a great way to come out. I just feel like on the right, when they do things like this, they also get national attention on their side, right? So even though, and I would agree with you, they probably didn't anticipate such attention to this story. I do think that it's served them among their people,
Mm.
but clearly it's another Republican loss. Maybe not necessarily a win on the left, but it's clearly another right-wing loss because they continuously keep overstepping, right? They're doing things that aren't really representative of America, right? Freedom of speech being one of them. Ironically, it's the First and Second Amendment here in question.
Right.
Right.
That
You want to violate our Second Amendment? Well, we're gonna violate your First Amendment, right? So it's basically what this whole thing is. So
well,
yeah.
he had a lot to say when he came back, and it was pretty powerful. And that's
I,
I
I'm
think
sure I'm sure he's walking around now like what like this.
floating through the hallways.
Oh yeah, I'd have some unreasonable amount of confidence at that point.
Because what are you gonna what he's almost invincible now. What are you gonna do? You're gonna kick me
I'd
out?
be dead staring them all the time. Just, yeah.
Well,
He should have come in like dressed up like with flashy colors, like a pink suit or something like
well,
that. Like
well,
yellow lightning bolts or something. I would have went
I
off,
think
man.
that's part of it too, is because he's got the afro
Afro.
and he's so articulate, and
He's a threat.
they can't stand it.
He's a
And I
threat.
think that's kind of what my father's seeing, like how Obama was also in state legislation, and he was so articulate and powerful when
Also
he
an
spoke.
activist.
Yep. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah. Well, the
keep
country needs inspiration, and I love it. So,
Justin
in
Jones.
that sense, is definitely a win. Yeah.
Keep your eyes out for Justin Jones. More to come. So, doing some reading, some studying, some looking into things. And not that this is a news flash, but the US Senate in its operation is actually anti-democratic. It does not, the system does not function as a democracy.
And you're not just talking about electoral college. You're talking about
Each state's senatorial representation. So just doing a little history, up until 1913, senators were selected by the state legislation. It wasn't until the 17th Amendment was enacted in 1913 where we started electing our senators. But when they changed that part of the law, they still left it in where every state has two representatives, two senators. So in the beginning of our Constitution, the largest state was only 3 times, in terms of population, 3 times larger than the smallest state. So there wasn't that much
huge gap, right?
gap in, it was fairly equal representation, right? Today, we have a state that is 67 times larger in terms of population than the smallest state, and yet they still each have 2 senators.
Same amount of representation.
Which makes no sense, is not democratic, and gives the smaller states a lot more power than they should have.
And those smaller, more rural states tend to be right-wing leaning. So it gives this idea that somehow half the country is Republican or leans right and half the country is left, when in actuality, if you account for actual votes in population, it's not the case.
Right.
California should have, in my opinion, way more senators than what, say, Rhode Island might have, or
Exactly.
Kentucky, or any of those states.
So that's the
Uh,
fun part, right? Like, so how do you, you have large states like California, Texas, Florida, New York. Then you got small states like Rhode Island, it's a smaller state, or hardly populated states like Nebraska. Like land wise, it's large, but population wise, it's one of the smallest.
right.
How do you justify that they should also have two senators? And so what's the answer? Does California get four and you take one away from how?
I think it's pretty simple. I think you have a senator representing per amount of millions of people in the state.
I kind of thought about that, but then what's that number? Because then how do you do that? I don't know how you figure that out.
I don't think it's that difficult. If I don't know what the population of California is, what would you say? Did you pull that up? Do you know offhand?
No, I mean Florida is like close to 20, so I would think California is probably like 30 or something like that.
Right. So
Um,
that way it's not like they're not like changing the scale so dramatically. So a senator per what, 8 million, 10 million residents?
39.24. That's a lot of people.
Right. So they should have at least, I think California should have at least, I don't know, I'd say what, 3 or 4 senators?
Yeah, I think that's the easy part. But then like the smaller states, how do you
You
just
give
if
them one. Rhode Island don't need two.
Rhode Island,
Idaho doesn't need two.
Rhode Island barely has more than 1 million people,
Yeah,
and they
one.
have the
Give them
same
one.
amount of senators as California. That's
That's absurd.
and I'm sure people are listening, it's probably sounding extremely biased because, like you said, usually the smaller populated states or the rural states and rural areas tend to vote a certain way, right? But even going back to James Madison, admitted that this was an undemocratic policy, but he felt, or it was at the time, they felt that it was necessary to entice states into the union, because why would a state want to join a union and not have equal say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, think about it, right? So
understandable back then, but
right now, currently in basketball, right? We have the first time, actually, we didn't talk about this, first time in California that all Cali teams are in the playoffs, right?
oh wow, yeah,
Yeah. So first time, right? Clippers, Lakers, Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings. They have 4 teams representing California
in one state, yeah.
in one state, right? And how many teams do you see in Oklahoma? It's just one, right? Even in the NFL, what, they have 3, right? They have the Rams, Chargers, and the 49ers in California.
They used to
So
have four.
yeah,
They used to have the
so
Raiders.
think about it. Even sports teams understand you got to have a larger representation for your state because there's just so many people.
Right.
California is not only huge as far as population is concerned, but the land mass is, what do we do? The only way we could probably get around it is what? Splitting California up into 2 states,
Mm.
northern and southern.
And they probably would consider that shit too, because the northern part of California votes different from the southern part.
I don't think that's the answer though.
No, I don't think that's the answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, man. I think
Although I would love to see that in Florida.
what's that? Oh,
Northern
split in half.
Florida. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, no, we need to be like split in three.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We do. For sure.
Northern, central, and southern.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would work for me.
Yeah, for
I'll,
sure.
I'll stay in Central Florida. We'd be good to go. But it'd be fun to play with, to like map out all the 50 states and their representation based on the population. I think the hardest part is just coming up with that a fair number to cut off.
That's not the hardest part. The hardest part is the resistance that we would get from the right,
Well,
because
yeah,
they don't want a fair elections. They don't want fair voting in the Senate. They don't want fair voting in Congress. They don't want fair voting in the Supreme Court. They don't want anything fair. They're literally, what the things that they're trying to do is really, it's undemocratic. Everything that they try to go for. And of course, we as we continue to evolve slowly, really fucking slowly, I think people are starting to notice these things on a larger scale, and hopefully we can get this changed. But I don't know. I don't really see this like on anybody's radar that's like in power right now.
it should be this and
Should be.
and the electoral college. It should be abolished.
Yeah.
Because even that doesn't even make any sense to me. I mean, again, this is another tool, the electoral college, that was used just to make people feel like they're involved. But there was a point where the popular vote didn't have any say. The states picked, the electoral college picked. Now, obviously, it doesn't go the same way today. It's kind of more of a symbolic thing, but it should just be the popular vote. We're talking a national election, right? So why are we voting by state? It should just be, we're all citizens. All citizens should vote.
And by districts, and like it's silly to carve out. Like, yeah.
Makes no sense.
And you've seen the way they map the areas out too. Like they're, the significance of like a conservative area. It'll be like the way they draw the lines. It's unfair.
That's another tool, gerrymandering and all of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, they go out of their way to make shit unfair.
You would think that not Republican politicians, but Republican voters, you would think that they would be for this. Not because it gives them an advantage, because it clearly wouldn't give them an advantage, but just in the spiel, just in the shit that they say, right? Equality, they think that, we're an equal country and equal society and everything is 50-50 across the board, which it isn't. But this would actually make it 50-50. You would think that those voters, based on those principles, would want to see this happening. Obviously, they wouldn't. I'm just shit talking here because I know that that's not something that they would want, but you would just think, based on the narrative that they put out there, that on principle, this should be something that they would want.
I wonder what it would take to change it.
I have no idea. I don't even know how I would even. I don't even know how that would come about.
I think it would have to be an amendment. I think it would have to be an amendment.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, as far as like some prominent politician would have to bring it up with a lot of support. I'm talking also other political support. Like Democrats, this is why they're weak, right? Because when they've been in power, why isn't this one of the first things that they're trying to get in there and change?
Right.
If Republicans can get together and figure out the whole Supreme Court
fucking
thing,
worried about the way that they're perceived. Like, oh, we have to look like we're playing nice, and and nobody else is fucking playing nice.
Right. They're not playing nice at all. If they can reverse, abortion, and all this shit that they're doing now, they got together and they came up with a strategy and got all those got the Supreme Court justice to lean right, and then they push this. Why can't we do the same?
Yeah.
Don't understand it.
Nor do I. But just thought this was an interesting topic.
Definitely.
Something to think about.
And that's why everyone
should be on an agenda.
Vote, because we clearly outnumber these Neanderthals. These knuckle dragon sleep with their cousin. Let me stop.
Speaking of which, Super Mario Brothers drops, and apparently,
should you say Super Mario? It sounded like you said stupor. Okay.
Super Mario, And movie's just too damn woke for conservatives. So fucking cartoon.
So they got a problem
Animation.
with they got problems with Disney, and now they're going after
Right,
Mario, right?
right. This DeSantis can't get Disney in line, and so let's just take it out on all fucking fictional characters.
I am such of a video gamer. I love video games, and Super Mario, the franchise, has been an absolute delight, even as
It's a
an adult.
classic.
Like just a complete delight. And this film, although there's some controversy surrounding the film itself, with the casting or whatever, Chris Pratt or whatever. Um, Overall thoughts, especially from the fans, that it's pretty faithful to the game. Magical, it's fiction. So conservatives
Key
are
word.
upset. Fiction, right?
Fiction.
Fiction. And when let me go over some of this. So Princess Peach, character in a Mario game. So for those of you who don't know, so Mario is usually Mario and Luigi. They're usually trying to rescue the princess, and at least in
Yes.
the first game, right?
Yep.
And in the game, they have 8 worlds, and each world has 4 levels, and you go through it, and then eventually you end up in a little castle, and there's this dragon guarding the princess. You jump over the dragon, he falls in a pit, and then they tell you, "Oh, sorry, Mario, the princess is in another castle." And you do this for 8 worlds until you get to the princess, and then you hook up with the princess. You probably bang her later on, and everything is great, right? So when I was a kid, and the first time I beat Mario, never forget this. I was by myself. I woke up early in the morning, and I was playing it after weeks and weeks of playing it. My parents were asleep. It was on a Saturday, and I beat it, and I got emotional. I got emotional. Like it was like it like freaked me out. Like I was totally emotional over it. Great
Like
experience.
you were crying.
I was teary eyed. Yeah, I was a kid.
Oh
Shut up.
wow.
Anyway, don't judge me. So
Uh,
anyway, so I was emotional over it. But millions of people had that experience first time playing, going through it. And as years have gone on, we've realized that there's been too many damsels in distress in films and stuff. It's
right,
just like what we talk about even in movies with the white savior, right? There's always some white savior somewhere to help indigenous people or
right.
whatever. And we know in history that's never really been the case. So now we're a more aware society, they like to call woke, and women have amazing abilities. And now we have characters that show off the things that women can do. So this Republican, one of these Republicans said that she wants that Princess Peach has too many badass moments. I don't know the name of this idiot who said this, but that she has too many badass moments, and that she just needs to go back to being a helpless princess again. That this is ruining things for girls, and yeah, they just want everybody to go back to the damsel in distress. This is where we're fucking at.
Women are helpless and they can only hope to be saved by a man.
An Italian man who's a plumber, no less, in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh man.
Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Even in Super Mario 2, the sequel that came out here in America, Princess was one of the playable characters, and she was probably the best
The
character in the
best
game.
character, yeah.
Right. It was her, Toad, Luigi, and Mario. And she was able to float. She was the only one who can float because her dress poof up and she would be able to float.
No.
And that's been like a theme of the character ever since. And now it's like that's too controversial.
I listen, I don't even know what to say. I It's a fictional movie based on a video game, which is also fictional. What the fuck are they talking about?
And let me tell you something. Nobody talks about this, but Mario, it's really fictional. Like think about it, right? He's a plumber from Brooklyn, right? Who jumps through pipes and ends up in this mushroom world, and he's stomping on fucking turtles and walking mushrooms that are trying to kill him. The
throwing
sun in
fireballs.
one of the levels is attacking him. The fucking sun is attacking him.
Right.
They got turtles with wings. They got that are flying after you, and then they got this dragon named Bowser, who never seems to be able to die and has an obsession with a princess. It's just so weird. It's so out there. The guy who created it, Miyamoto, must have been super high when he came up with these concepts. But it's total fiction.
So
So
there
for
was a
us to
Brooklyn plumber and a princess.
think about the logic behind the whole thing. It's an amazing franchise. And just for anyone to try to make a political statement out of a kids movie, it's the lowest of the low.
That's low, but if that wasn't enough, just the thought that women are helpless and you know can't defend themselves, and have to rely on men to save them, like that is not what I would teach my daughter. So,
and not only that, but the idea that we have to center our media, our fictional media, around some shit Republican or right-wing narrative is absurd. It's totally absurd. There are women out there that I wouldn't fuck with for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, can we just like stop this? Like, yeah, naturally, most men are physically stronger than women. That's not the be all end all when it comes to anything. So it's just silly. It's stupid. It's such an outdated thought. And the idea that they would, in 2023, as we just spoke about, try to put this out there, it's horrible. But you know what? People saying this, Republicans saying this, influencers, there will be a segment of the population that won't let their kids see it because of this idea that it's too woke.
That's just insane.
It's the truth, though. But fuck them. It's doing well in the theater, so who cares?
Yeah, it's setting records, I think I read, right?
Yeah, for video game films. So hopefully we see more. More woke.
Wait till part 2 of the movie comes out and the princess is the real shit, right? She's gonna be man, they'll lose their shit.
Yeah, she'll save the Mushroom Kingdom. Maybe she'll save Brooklyn. Fuck it, they should put Mario in Texas or something and have Princess Peach save.
They'll get shot to death.
Yeah. Well.
Music and movie recommendations. Ain't shit dropping this week, man. I got nothing.
Man, I feel like that's been like a common thing. Are we having like a dry season as far as music is concerned? Are they waiting for the summer to drop shit?
Yeah, it's usually the first quarter of the year. It's usually you're gonna get a lot of underground shit, or you'll get the albums people didn't really want to release, which is holding on to. Like, you get a lot of shit thrown out just to get feelers in the first quarter of the year. Then as it gets warmer, it starts picking up. That second quarter and third quarter, it'll probably be nuts.
Maybe we should just start focusing on indie stuff, man. You know, I think indie music is the best music out there. I know that's not your area, but you know, maybe for just these dry areas, dry seasons,
as far as hip hop is concerned, no, but I do listen to a lot of indie R&B.
Oh, that's probably the best music out there. It's probably it's always the indie scene, in my opinion. So yeah. But I could be biased because I'm an indie artist, you know. So, but
might have something to do with it.
But we're the best.
But
well, I got some recommendations.
Well, we do have the Wu-Tang song of the week.
Oh, we're going with that now. Okay. Well, Daym, what's your Wu-Tang song of the week? I have mine.
Okay.
What's yours?
Well, we've progressed to the third Wu-Tang album release, right? ODB, Return to the 36 Chambers. And this week's song will be Brooklyn Zoo. Shame on you.
Yep. So, it's funny, talking about stories earlier, you and I remember what I used to do when, this is back in the day, right? So when an album would drop, my ass would get on a bus and go to the mall and go to Sam Goody or go to my local record shop or whatever, and I get the albums. So of course, you know, the tapes. So of course,
around this time was when this is maybe CD. This is CD time.
Oh no, I was still rocking cassette tapes. I kind of cassette tapes. That was my shit for some reason. I was still rocking cassette tapes. So,
but this was when stores you could listen to it before you buy it. And so I'd be in it for hours. If I had like a Saturday or nothing to do, I'd be in Sam Goody, or what was the other? Blockbuster was doing it. There was another one, I can't think of the name.
I used to sometimes go to Barnes and Nobles too, and what is it? FYE is another one.
FYE was the one I couldn't think of. And you would just sit there with the headphones on and just skip through these fucking albums, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm buying this one. Oh yeah, I'm buying this one. Because you couldn't listen to the whole song. You could only listen to like 45 seconds.
Yeah, like the first like 30 seconds or whatever. Yeah.
I would be in there for hours, bro.
Around that time, I would go to the New Age section. You know, they would have like the Celtic whatever, and I would do it for sample purposes, you know, to sample to make beats. So, you know, we would always go and listen, and if there was like a cherry blossom, you know, New Age sound instrumental that sounded dope, we'd get it so we could try to sample and make beats. I would always, like, you know, at the time, shout out to Reyes. He was doing a producer for us, so I remember I was always on the hunt to try to get him a dope sample to make a beat. So, but anyway, I remember just going to the store and just excited. And I remember the day that I got Old Dirty's album.
Yeah.
I remember getting home, and I was listening to it on the headphones the whole way. But as soon as I got home, I rewound it. We had to rewind it back then, right? And I cranked it up, and it was the shit to actually hear him come out with an album, and yeah, the cover to that album was, I think, his actual like food stamp card or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it was
so hilarious.
They changed some stuff on it, but yeah, the image was his actual food stamp card, and he was determined to make that the cover.
Great.
I mean, he got a lot of help. Yeah, that was it. Typical. That was perfect ODB. Like everything that like people would probably try and hide or be ashamed of, he would put right in front of you.
Right.
So that was
what a powerful message. Even to this day, it's still pretty genius. So rest in peace, Old Dirty Bastard. Great song. Very good album.
Yeah, man.
So I got my recommendations, film recommendations. I'm going back to some documentaries this week.
All right.
So both of these, I believe, are on Netflix. So the first one is called Turning Point 9/11 and the War on Terror. If you want to get a really, really good overview, and I know there's been a ton of 9/11 documentaries, so this isn't anything new, but
I think I've seen
this is one of the more recent ones, and it really gives a great overall picture of you know, all of that. So recommending that.
You said this is a more recent one, a newer one?
Yeah, it came out like I think 3 years ago or something like that, 3 or 4 years ago. It's not really that old. Yeah, so check that one out. I believe it's on Netflix. Turning Point 9/11 and the War on Terror.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Do they discuss the thermite?
This isn't a conspiracy theory.
I'm just asking.
No, they don't discuss the thermite.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Skyman. Anyway, it's more about the lead up to the war than some wacky ass
than the actual towers. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they go over that too, but anyway. And the second documentary is The Alchemist, and I don't want to give away too much about this, but it's one of those things where if you ever watch a movie or a documentary or read a story and you're reading about someone's life or discovering someone's life that's just so totally different than yours, and it becomes interesting, right? Because you know this is someone's life. This is what they do. This is what they specialize in. And the story is about this guy. He basically climbs the world's like hardest mountains, most difficult mountains, biggest mountains, most remote places in the world. And he climbs them, and he does it with minimal equipment. Sometimes he's even mostly doing it just with his hands. And he's basically kind of like he just seems to just lives off the earth, you know, like he doesn't really, he's not into like just normal things that we're into, like a 9 to 5 job. He's just traveling everywhere and doing these amazing things. And it's not even about the attention, because a lot of these things that he does, he's doing it by himself. He was discovered by people looking into it. He wasn't looking for the attention. So definitely check it out. It's on Netflix. The Alpinist, incredible documentary. Some of the footage that they have and the things that they show, really, 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 I can't say inspiring because it's some shit I would never want to do in my life, but it's pretty amazing to see. So The Alpinist and Turning Point 9/11 and the War on Terror. Check them out.
Might get to that this weekend.
You might.
It kind of reminds me of what you're saying, like, you know, parts of people's lives that are just so different than what you would ever think it'd do. I have this friend, well, someone I knew, who one day she just said, I'm out of here. Whatever money she had, she just left and just started traveling the world and living off the land. Like, she'll get to some countries and just figures it out. Like, and this has been going on, I don't know, like 7 years now, maybe she's been doing this. And I follow her on Instagram, and I get to, you know, see different parts of the world through her experiences. And she's just like, all right, this is the country I'm here now. She might be there for a couple days. She might be there for weeks. And it's just however she wasn't rich. So I don't know. I have no idea how she's doing this. But, you know, maybe she's got a job where she can, you know, work from the internet, and that's how she does it. But yeah, she just is traveling the fucking world. Like, I don't think I could do that, but I admire people that are able to do that.
Exactly. You know, I'm doing a presentation at my job, like a leadership presentation. It's actually this coming Friday, next week, where I'm going to be talking about the concept, and what I came up with is talking about how passion can influence people in leadership, right? So part of the idea and the concept and the thought behind it is stuff like this, right? Is if you're passionate about something. See, I'm not a person that cooks often, but I follow a bunch of YouTubers and people who cook because they're so passionate about it. And when you see that, it causes you to get into new things. Yeah. I'm not into, I'm never considered forging weapons and creating swords and shit, but I watched that Forged in Fire show because it's so interesting and the passion that goes behind it. Yeah, so I really do feel like when you see people who are passionate and they're doing things in their lives that is just totally different, and you step into their world for, even if it's just for an hour and a half, it's usually pretty intriguing for me. So yeah.
Like those people who go, you know, backpackers, they just pack a backpack and take a flight to Europe and just figure it out. Like, I could never. I could never.
You and I would have to fucking map it out, plan it. We have to have conversations with our spouse about it for weeks on end, you know. Yeah, but some people are just so random and spontaneous, and that's kind of the way this guy is, right? During this documentary, there were moments where he just disappeared and would end up climbing a mountain somewhere, and the people doing the documentary were like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like you just broke a record. Nobody's ever done this, and you did it alone. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it again. It's just that kind of stuff. It's just like, you know, I'll put my line on the life again. You know, it doesn't matter if you know, there's a glacier falling on my head, or, you know, I'm climbing, I'm 10,000 feet up. Like, doesn't matter.
It's a different kind, man.
Yeah, different kind of people, but interesting for sure. So, Daym, what's next, bro?
That's it, man.
That is it. So I guess it leaves us with one thing, huh?
One thing to do.
Quote of the Daym. Daym, what you got for us this week? It better be better than last week.
Wu-Tang is forever, man. That was a good one.
Maybe your quote this week is Wu-Tang is still forever.
It is the greatest group and probably the most popular group in the world.
Hip hop group, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It might. Nah,
No.
I'm probably bugging. Let's keep it hip.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know who needs to hear this, but vent about your joy, not just your problems. Hope that goes over. Doesn't go over your head.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love that. I actually like that one. Good
Cool.
job, Damian.
I saw it. I was like, oh, screenshot. That's the one for the week.
Very good. I don't think that's going to go over my head or anyone's head. I think that's pretty.
It just, it's, I don't know why we do it, but we're more inclined. Maybe people don't feel like maybe it's bragging or something like that, but more inclined to complain about shit that ain't right than, the things that are going well for us.
Bragging about your joy, I think it's different than bragging, right? If you're bragging about your status or material things, that's different. That's not really a joy, right? But if you're talking if you're talking a lot about things that, again, passion, right? Things that move you, there's nothing better than that. It's a perfect segue actually from what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So, excellent quote.
Yeah. Episode 26 in the books.
26. This was a bit more of a straightforward episode than we normally have.
Straight to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no,
So
no, no.
no crazy sidetracks or
Yeah.
anything. No, and I'm gonna say this is maybe the first podcast in all of the 26 episodes where I didn't try to screw you up with some kind of.
You had one. You did one.
I did one.
I said to myself, but it
What?
was
No, I did not have one.
it was something with the video with Mario Brothers.
No, I wasn't coming at you at all
No,
today.
no, not at me. It was just a sexual
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, I think this is the first one where I didn't try to get you with something. So,
uh
yeah. So for those of you in the audience that are a little disappointed about that,
I don't think I
tune
think
in
I think they're okay.
tune in next week. Maybe. We'll see.
Listen, I think people at this point are watching and saying, "Oh shit."
What's wrong with you? What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Nah,
Anyway,
good shit, man.
thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, click that bell icon so you can get notified about when we drop our videos. And if nothing else, we'll see you next week. 26. Done. Peace.